You open your eyes. Not in your familiar room, not to the hum of cars or the glow of screens. The first light that touches your face is liquid, diffused through layers of mist, reflected off concentric rings of land and sea. The air tastes clean, almost crystalline, and carries a faint fragrance of salt and stone. You have just awakened in Atlantis. Before you stretches a city that Plato once described in Timaeus and Critias, circles of water and land interwoven like ripples frozen in time, their white walls shimmering beneath the dawn. He wrote that Poseidon, the god of the sea, claimed this island and raised a mighty race upon it. In the days of old, Plato said, the gods divided the earth among themselves, and Poseidon, having obtained the island of Atlantis, begat children with a mortal woman, and settled them in a part of the island which I shall describe. Yet something about his words feels less like myth and more like memory, as if he had seen it, or remembered it through the eyes of someone else. You stand up. The ground beneath you glows faintly, the light pulsing like a living breath. There is no smoke, no engines, no wires. Everything here runs on an invisible rhythm. You can hear it, the low hum of the earth, vibrating softly like the heartbeat of a planet. The Atlanteans called it resonance. Everything, stone, air, body, and mind, vibrated in tune. From the balcony you see domes of glass that shimmer like bubbles of light. Towers rise in spirals of transparent stone held aloft by unseen magnetic currents. In their walls, massive crystals gleam, violet, blue, and silver, casting a slow pulse across the horizon. At the city's center stands a vast structure, the Hall of Balance, which Plato hinted was a temple where all things are weighed between the divine and the mortal. The ocean surrounding the city does not roar, it breathes. The horizon is wrapped in silver fog. Part of your mind insists this must be a dream, yet every breath feels too vivid to doubt. The air carries weight, as if filled not only with oxygen, but with memory. Here the people of Atlantis did not just breathe air, they absorbed frequency. They believed everything was vibration, even the soul itself. Their architecture was not built merely for beauty, but for harmony. Every arch, every column, every angle was positioned to capture the sunlight at precise moments, turning it into music. And in that music, their world lived, self-healing, self-illuminating, self-aware. You cross the central square where crystal spires grow from the ground like living trees. Symbols pulse along their sides, spirals, triangles, interlocking circles, the language of sacred geometry. Beneath your feet, the polished surface reflects your steps in shifting colors, as though your movement has joined a larger symphony. Some claim Plato used Atlantis as an allegory for virtue and pride, a moral fable about the fall of nations. But if it were only metaphor, why describe its exact location? Beyond the pillars of Heracles, greater than Libya and Asia combined. Why do ancient maps, like those of Herodotus or Piri Reis, echo the shape and position of his words? Maybe the philosopher was not inventing a legend, but remembering one. You lean over the railing. The water below mirrors not only your reflection, but other images flickering over it. Egyptian temples, Mayan pyramids, the carved faces of Bolivia's highlands. Each shares the same geometric code, as if drawn from a single ancient source. Then a voice reaches you, not through sound, but through resonance. All things exist in cycles. Every memory has a tone. Those who still hear the tone awaken Atlantis. A shiver runs through you. You turn, and standing behind you is a figure wrapped in a faint radiance. Neither male nor female, their eyes shining like fragments of quartz. They smile and point toward the horizon, where beams of blue light converge into a luminous sphere. That is the core of energy, their voice echoes inside your thoughts. There, all life begins. You follow their gaze. Metallic birds glide through the air, silent and weightless. The atmosphere hums, not from wind, but from power itself. And you realize that this city is not just a myth. It is a meeting point between the physical and the divine, between science and soul. If this is a dream, it obeys laws more intricate than waking life. If it is reality, then everything you knew is only a shadow. Either way, one truth feels undeniable. Atlantis did not die. It sleeps, within the frequencies of the earth itself. And this morning, somehow, you have awakened with it. The figure who greeted you vanishes into the shimmering air, leaving only the echo of their presence, a resonance that lingers like the aftertaste of lightning. You begin walking toward the glowing horizon where the core of energy stands. The streets beneath your feet are silent, yet alive. They shift subtly, adjusting to your step, channeling currents of blue light that ripple outward like water disturbed by thought. In Atlantis, even the streets were alive. They responded to the vibration of the human body, to emotional charge, to the rhythm of intention. Every citizen's movement added to the city's pulse. From above, it would look as though the metropolis itself was breathing, a vast organism of stone, crystal, and consciousness. You pass beneath a crystal archway, where inscriptions hum in tones you can almost hear. Plato once wrote that the Atlanteans possessed wisdom greater than words could contain. Now you understand why. Here, language was not spoken, it was felt. The symbols themselves are sound made visible, each line vibrating at a precise frequency. As your fingers graze the surface, a memory that isn't yours flickers through your mind, a gathering inside the hall of energy thousands of years ago. You see them, the Atlanteans, robed in garments woven from light threads, faces calm, eyes reflecting auroras. In the center of the hall, massive quartz columns spiral from floor to ceiling, channeling the Earth's magnetic veins. The air hums with a low drone that touches your bones. When they raise their hands, the sound shifts. The crystals glow brighter, pulsing in sync with their heartbeats. They are not using energy, they are part of it. The vision fades. You blink, and you're there, standing at the very threshold of that same hall. The walls breathe faint violet. Every surface hums with harmony. From the ceiling, currents of electric light drip like liquid stars, gathering into translucent pools that ripple without spilling. This is the heart of Atlantis, the reason its people thrived without smoke, without fire, without war. They drew power not from combustion or destruction, but from alignment. The crystals here, giant pillars of quartz, orichalcum, and something unnamed, conduct the natural resonance of the earth. Their frequency amplifies emotion, thought, and intention, turning consciousness into fuel. A soft voice whispers inside your head. Quartz does not merely reflect, it remembers. You reach out to touch the nearest crystal. A faint vibration answers you, pulsing up your arm like a slow heartbeat. Within the transparent surface, shapes appear. Visions stored inside the lattice for millennia. You see ships sailing skies of gold, children learning to move objects with thought, healers shaping color into medicine. And at the edge of it all, you glimpse what seems impossible. A group of Atlanteans floating within beams of sound, their bodies levitating gently, balanced between gravity and song. Modern science speaks of piezoelectricity, the ability of crystals to generate current under pressure. But here, it's reversed. The crystals don't produce electricity, they translate it. Emotion becomes light, intention becomes motion, life itself hums in wavelengths. One of the Atlantean healers approaches you in the vision. Her eyes glow with serenity. She holds a sphere of white energy between her palms, and when she speaks, her voice vibrates through your bones. Illness begins when the song falls out of tune. We do not cure the body. We retune it. Suddenly, you feel the air around you change. The sound deepens. A rhythmic chime emerges from the floor. Slow, deliberate, almost like breathing. The healing chamber unfolds before you. Crystals line the walls in geometric patterns, each emitting a tone. In the center lies a basin of liquid light, rippling softly. You step closer and see reflections of colors: violet, turquoise, amber, dancing like spirits. The air smells faintly of rain and ozone. A whisper travels through the chamber. In Atlantis, medicine was not mechanical. It was musical. You close your eyes. For a moment, your thoughts dissolve into the vibration around you. You can sense how everything, your heartbeat, the hum of the floor, even the faint glow of your fingertips, begins to align into one frequency. There's no fear here, no haste, only balance. And then, just as quickly, you're drawn back into the flow of the city. The hum of the crystals fades into the soft chorus of the streets. You walk past children practicing telepathy in a plaza where fountains sing in tonal harmonies. Above them, geometric patterns drift across the sky, floating holograms formed by magnetic resonance. These are lessons, living equations, that teach through vibration rather than memorization. Here, education is not about repetition, it is about awakening potential. The young Atlanteans learn the architecture of stars, the language of sound, the geometry of dreams. They don't memorize, they remember. Every soul, they say, carries the code of the universe. Education merely unlocks what was hidden. You pause near a group of children drawing symbols in the air with beams of light. One turns and looks at you. "You're new here," she says without speaking. You nod. She smiles. "Then listen carefully. The city is alive. It feels everything. Even you." You follow her gaze toward the horizon. The domes of Atlantis shimmer in unison, responding to some unseen pulse. Somewhere within that rhythm, you sense the faint tension of time, the awareness that perfection, like any frequency, must someday change its tone. But for now, Atlantis breathes in harmony. Every crystal hums, every thought glows, every life sings in tune. You take a slow breath, letting the resonance seep into your bones. For the first time, you understand what Plato meant when he wrote, "Science and soul were one." Morning deepens into an amber glow that coats the towers in liquid gold. You find yourself walking toward a place where the architecture changes, less radiant, more solemn. The air thickens with incense that smells of rain-soaked stone and burnt cedar. Ahead stands a structure unlike the crystalline domes you've seen, massive, geometric, its pillars carved with spirals that seem to move when you stare too long. This is the Hall of the Sages, where governance, wisdom, and mysticism converge. Here the rulers of Atlantis, kings, queens, philosophers, healers, sit in harmonic council. Their authority does not come from lineage or blood, but from alignment. Each has undergone decades of initiation to balance mind, emotion, and frequency. You remember what the little girl told you. The city feels everything. That includes its leaders. In Atlantis, no ruler could ascend to power if their vibration was discordant. You step into the hall. The floor is black glass veined with threads of light, as if the stars have been trapped beneath your feet. At the center lies a massive crystal orb suspended in mid-air, rotating slowly, radiating soft hums that ripple through your skin. Around it, 12 figures sit in perfect stillness. Their eyes are closed, yet they seem to see through you. A voice resonates, not one voice, but many overlapping into a single tone. You have come to witness how order breathes. The orb flickers, projecting visions into the air. You see scenes of Atlantis, harvests, temples, children, oceans. Each image trembles with light whenever the council adjusts their posture or breath. Their meditation is governance. When the council breathes in unison, the city responds. Tides shift, air currents calm, and crystals realign. It is government by consciousness. Then you notice something else. Two figures standing opposite each other, cloaked in gold and silver. Their presence radiates twin energies, like sunlight and moonlight woven into human form. These are the high regents, the balance of masculine logic and feminine intuition. the twin pillars of Atlantean law. When they speak, the chamber fills with soft thunder. The masculine creates pattern, says the one cloaked in gold. The feminine restores harmony, answers the one in silver. Only in union, they intone together, does truth sustain the world. For a moment, the hall vibrates at such intensity that the crystal orb flashes white, and every symbol on the wall glows. You realize that what they call law is not a written code, but a living current. It flows through the minds of the wise, through every temple, every citizen. To disobey it is not rebellion. It is dissonance, a break in the song that holds Atlantis together. A sound like distant bells draws your attention toward the far end of the hall. There, behind a lattice of translucent stone, the priesthood performs a ritual. They move in spirals, hands tracing invisible geometry, voices blending into a resonance that feels both ancient and futuristic. Their chants are low, not worship, but communication. They are speaking with the energy grid itself. You approach, but a young acolyte intercepts you. Her eyes gleam pale green, and her voice is soft, melodic. They are tuning the currents, she says. Every month, the ley lines beneath Atlantis shift. If we do not realign the crystals, the harmony fractures. Thought becomes chaos. You watch as the priests touch the glowing walls with rods of silver. Each touch releases a tone, and you can see the vibrations ripple across the air like waves in water. You remember the healer S words. Illness begins when the song falls out of tune. Here, even the city itself is a living organism. Its energy must be healed, tuned, cared for. Who leads them, you ask? The acolyte's gaze drifts upward. We are all led, she whispers. But the eldest of us listens directly to the source. A shadow moves behind the curtain of light, a tall figure draped in layers of translucent fabric, the edges glowing faintly. Around their neck hangs a pendant shaped like an eye within a triangle, a symbol of universal awareness. This is an archpriest of Atlantis. You feel their attention like gravity, even from a distance. Their voice glides through the hall, low and resonant. Every frequency, they say, is a doorway. Those who forget this truth open the wrong ones. The words pierce through you. You understand suddenly that power here is not enforced by weapons or fear, but by responsibility. To rule in Atlantis is to maintain the balance between creation and corruption. One thought out of harmony can ripple through the crystal grid, distorting weather, emotion, even time. As the ritual ends, a hush settles over the chamber. The orb dims, and the air smells of ozone. The council members open their eyes, ancient, serene, heavy with knowing. You realize that they are not merely politicians or mystics. They are conductors of a living symphony. Each heartbeat they release into the world keeps Atlantis aligned with the cosmos. The acolyte turns to you, her expression unreadable. Now you see why we fear silence, she says. Silence? When the music stops, she whispers, the city begins to die. Her words cling to you as you step back into the golden light of day. Outside, the city hums in delicate equilibrium, but beneath that harmony you feel something faint and irregular, a pulse slightly off-key. Perhaps it is imagination, or perhaps it is the first sign that even Atlantis, for all its perfection, cannot escape the universal truth of impermanence. The air trembles. Somewhere deep within the grid, a subtle dissonance grows, so small it could be mistaken for the wind. Evening descends slowly, and Atlantis shifts color. The white walls blush gold, then violet, then deep blue, until the city gleams like a constellation anchored to the sea. The hum beneath your feet grows lower, heavier, a heartbeat now in half-tempo. You walk toward the western terraces, where the air smells of salt and magnetism. Below you lies the harbor, though it bears no sails or smoke. Vessels shaped like crescent moons hover above the water, moving without sound. As you stand there, a memory not your own slips into focus. You see the same harbor, only thousands of years earlier. The sky then was brighter, the waters clearer. Atlantean explorers prepare their luminous ships, each vessel alive with inner light. At their center hums a column of crystal energy that interacts with Earth's magnetic field, bending space as easily as a bird changes wind. They are not traveling by ocean current, they are traveling by resonance. It's said that long before Magellan touched the Americas or Columbus glimpsed unknown shores, Atlantean navigators had already mapped the globe, but they used no compasses or parchment charts. Instead, they read the stars through harmonic geometry, an awareness of how celestial frequency corresponded to the magnetic grid of Earth. In their hands, navigation was a spiritual art. Your vision sharpens. The captain of one vessel, his skin silvered by reflection, his hair braided with gold thread, raises a sphere that glows with starlight. Within it, continents shimmer. Not as they are now, but as they were. Africa joined to South America, Antarctica, free of ice, vast tracts of green where deserts now sprawl. The image is older than memory, a map of a world untouched by catastrophe. And suddenly you recall something you once read, the Piri race map drawn in the 16th century, showing Antarctica ice-free. A mystery that still puzzles historians. The image flickers in your mind, merging with the captain's glowing sphere. Perhaps the cartographers of later ages didn't discover new lands at all. Perhaps they rediscovered fragments of Atlantean knowledge that had drifted through time like bottles on a current. The scene changes again. You are soaring above oceans, following the Atlanteans on their global voyages. Across Africa, they leave behind temples that echo their sacred geometry, pyramids aligned with stars. Across the Andes, they teach builders to cut stone as if it were clay. In distant islands, they carve faces into cliffs. The same elongated eyes, the same tranquil smiles you saw in Atlantis. Could it be coincidence? Mainstream scholars dismiss these parallels as random, yet the patterns repeat with mathematical precision. The stones of Pumapunku in Bolivia fit so tightly together that not even a hair can pass between them. The terraces of Egypt and the walls of Peru vibrate at identical harmonic ratios. From the Yonaguni monument beneath Japan's seas to the megaliths of Baalbek, a single architectural signature runs like an echo. You land again on the terrace. The night has deepened, the stars bright enough to draw lines between. For a fleeting moment, the constellations above seem to align perfectly with the city's concentric rings below. You realize it isn't accidental. Atlantis was built as a mirror of the sky. As above, so below. The entire island is a living observatory, measuring not just time but consciousness itself. A voice beside you breaks the silence. An old man, his robe shimmering with embedded crystals, stands gazing at the horizon. "We sent them everywhere," he says, "not to conquer, but to remember." "Remember what?" you ask. "That the earth is one body," he replies. "Its veins, its stones, its oceans, they sing the same song. When one region forgets, another will remind it." He points upward. Even the stars know this. Each pulse, each orbit, each burst of light carries a rhythm older than speech. His eyes close as he continues, voice fading to a whisper. "When Atlantis falls, those who survive will carry the melody to new lands. They will teach others to shape stone with sound, to write wisdom in triangles and circles, to heal by remembering their frequency." You realize he's speaking not in prophecy, but in recollection, as though he has seen the end already. He turns toward you. "We do not fear death," he says, "for death is only modulation, a shift to another key." You look across the dark sea, and suddenly you can sense them, echoes of the Atlanteans scattered across time. Thoth, teaching sacred geometry along the Nile, Quetzalcoatl sailing to Mesoamerica on a raft of serpents, Viracocha walking through the Andes cloaked in light, each of them carrying fragments of a song that once kept the earth in tune. Somewhere in Mali, The Dogon people still speak of sky visitors who taught them the orbit of Sirius B, a star invisible to the naked eye. You recall this and wonder if it, too, is an Atlantean chord that never stopped vibrating. The night wind brushes your face. For a heartbeat, the world around you seems to overlap. Atlantis glowing beneath your feet, Egypt's pyramids rising in your periphery, the Andes breathing mist through their stones. The geometry matches. The rhythm is identical. History, it seems, is not a line, but a spiral. Every civilization, the old man says, is a verse in the same hymn. You glance back at the city. Its lights pulse gently, like the slow breathing of a sleeper. And for the first time you sense what comes next. The faint tremor beneath the harmony, a dissonant note, barely audible yet unmistakable. The frequency is shifting. The song is preparing to change. The tremor begins as a sigh beneath your feet, faint like a whisper through the stone. At first, the citizens of Atlantis do not notice. The streets still hum with soft light. The air still carries that serene metallic taste. But you feel it. Something in the rhythm of the city has faltered. The harmony that once flowed through every crystal, every beam, every living thing now skips a beat. The old man from the terrace is gone. The horizon, once smooth as glass, flickers with distant flashes, silver at first, then crimson. The resonance of Atlantis begins to tremble out of tune. You descend toward the central ring of the city. Crowds gather around the Hall of Energy, where the great quartz towers flicker like distressed stars. Inside, the crystal pillars are humming at erratic frequencies. Their glow, once steady, now pulses in chaotic waves. The air smells of ozone and fear. A voice calls out from the hall, one of the priesthood, her robes disheveled, eyes wide. The grid is misaligned. The harmonic field is collapsing. Around her, the sages chant in desperate unison, trying to restore balance. But the sound no longer synchronizes. It fractures. One tone collides with another. The vibration that once healed is now beginning to destroy. You feel the vibration through your bones, rising like pressure. Outside, the levitating transport pods shake and tumble into the canals. The waters between the rings surge upward, spilling over the bridges. A low thunder rolls across the horizon, and the sky splits open with light, violet, white, and gold all at once. From the trembling streets, children and elders look upward. There are no screams, only disbelief. For an instant, the city's crystal spires blaze with impossible brilliance, illuminating the sea for miles. It is the last perfect chord before dissonance swallows it all. Plato once wrote, "In a single day and night of misfortune, the island of Atlantis disappeared beneath the waves." Standing here, you finally understand those words not as history, but as experience. You are inside that final night. The ground cracks beneath you. From the fractures, blue light erupts, streams of pure energy released from the heart of the earth. The air roars as sound becomes weapon. The frequency that once held everything together now tears it apart. Buildings dissolve into shards of light. The domes collapse inward, their crystal surfaces liquefying like glass under fire. The concentric canals rupture, merging into a whirlpool that drags the city downward. Still, the priests keep chanting. You see them on the temple steps, hands raised to the heavens, voices trembling with both terror and faith. "Balance will return," one whispers, "even if we must fall to restore it." And in that moment you see them, columns of light ascending from the sinking city, souls perhaps, or memory itself, streaming upward through the storm like sparks into the night. Then silence. The waters rise, swallowing stone, metal, and sound. Darkness folds over everything. For a heartbeat, you can see nothing, only the dim phosphorescence of energy dying out, the last echo of a civilization slipping into myth. But the silence does not last. Beneath the ocean, the frequency still hums. It is faint, distorted, but alive. The song of Atlantis continues, buried within the pulse of the earth. And somehow you hear it, not with your ears, but through your blood. A resonance older than memory, older than fear. You see visions in the dark, fragments of survivors building anew in distant lands. The gleam of gold in Egypt's sand. The hum of basalt stones in Peru. The shimmering jade temples of the East. Each carries a note of the old song, a fragment of the lost frequency. From the depths, a thought surfaces, one that does not belong to you. Atlantis was not destroyed. It was transformed. Its fall was its passage. You open your eyes again, and the ocean is gone. You are standing in silence, surrounded by darkness that feels endless but soft. The sound of your heartbeat blends with something deeper, the low vibration of the earth itself. The resonance is still there, just hidden, waiting. Maybe this is the true meaning of the legend, that civilizations rise and fall not in space, but in tone. Each time humanity forgets its harmony, the song stops, only to begin again in another octave. You remember the priest's warning, when the music stops, the city begins to die. And yet perhaps that death was only a pause between verses. The world hums faintly beneath your feet. Somewhere within that vibration, Atlantis still breathes, waiting for its next chorus. The darkness fades into blue light, soft and infinite. The pulse steadies. You breathe in, and for a moment, the rhythm matches yours. The song of Atlantis, ancient, impossible, beautiful, begins again. There was Atlantis, and then there wasn't. But perhaps it never truly left.